Elon Musk reveals why he sold all his possessions. Lately, I've been reflecting deeply on the role possessions play in our lives. It might surprise many, given my ventures and companies, but this reflection led to one of the most transformative choices I've ever made. If you want to know the real reason I decided to part with nearly everything I own, just comment freedom. When I announced I was selling my homes and most of my belongings, the reaction was intense. The media speculated wildly. Was it financial trouble? A publicity stunt? Or some unusual new obsession? The truth is far simpler and more profound. It all began 2 years ago during an especially grueling stretch at work. Tesla was grappling with production issues, SpaceX faced launch delays, and I was clocking 120-hour weeks, often sleeping on the factory floor. I hadn't seen my kids in months and was utterly drained. One night, I finally returned to my sprawling 16,000 square foot mansion, a masterpiece of design and luxury. You'd expect relief or comfort in such a place, but instead, I felt suffocated. Walking through room after room filled with carefully curated furniture and art, I realized I barely noticed any of it anymore. 7 bedrooms, but I only slept in one. 5 bathrooms when I only needed one. A dining room that could seat 20, yet I rarely had dinner with anyone. Surrounded by all these symbols of success, a simple question struck me: what is all this really doing for me? Not what it says about me to others, nor its financial value, but what actual benefit does it bring to my daily life? I couldn't find a satisfying answer. I recalled something my grandfather once told me. Having lived through tough times in South Africa, he understood scarcity. He said, "The more possessions you have, the more they possess you." That night, his words finally resonated deeply. Every item in that house demanded upkeep, maintenance, cleaning, security, insurance, taxes. Each room required heating, cooling, repairs. The pool, landscaping, driveways, all needed constant attention and resources. But beyond the tangible costs, there was a hidden toll, a psychological burden. Each possession represented a past decision, a responsibility, a claim on my mental energy. Sitting at my custom kitchen table, a piece that took months to create, I began listing what truly added value to my life, what I genuinely needed versus what I'd accumulated out of habit or image. The essentials were surprisingly few. That weekend, instead of going to the office, I methodically examined every room and item, asking myself, if I didn't already own this, would I buy it today? Does it add more value than the freedom I'd gain by letting it go? For most things, the answer was no. I realized I'd fallen into a common trap. Success had led me to collect possessions not because they enriched my life, but because they fit an image of achievement I'd absorbed without question. But what I truly valued wasn't these things, it was freedom. Freedom to focus on work that excites me. Freedom to spend undistracted time with my children. Freedom to move swiftly, think clearly, and make decisions based on what matters most. Every possession that didn't support these priorities wasn't neutral, it was a weight holding me back. That's when I decided to sell almost everything, starting with the houses. Not because I couldn't afford them, but because I couldn't afford the cost they imposed on my focus, freedom, and clarity. The public reaction was fascinating. Some thought I was having a breakdown. Others suspected tax maneuvers. Few grasped that this was the most rational choice aligned with my true values. Selling was emotional. Each home held memories, every object told a story. Doubts crept in as I parted with things once so coveted. But with each sale, each emptied room, I felt relief, as if I could finally breathe deeply. I kept only what directly supported what mattered most, my work and my children. Everything else I released. Now, I live in a modest rental home with very few possessions. When I need something, I buy it. When I'm done, I let it go without attachment. The mental clarity this has brought is remarkable. Without the constant drain of managing possessions, my mind is sharper, more focused on what truly matters. This isn't a call for everyone to sell everything. Rather, it's an invitation to question the unconscious assumptions about what we need to be happy or successful. Too often, possessions start as desires, become perceived necessities, and end up as burdens we don't know how to shed. We become caretakers of our own museums, maintaining collections that no longer serve us. True freedom isn't about having everything, it's about being unburdened by what you don't need. One moment crystallized this for me. About a month after selling my main house, I found an expensive watch in storage, one I'd forgotten owning. It had sat unused for years, adding no value, only worry. Giving it away to someone who would appreciate it daily brought me more joy than owning it ever did. Material things can bring joy, comfortable beds, useful tools, sentimental items. But for every valuable possession, most of us have dozens that don't truly add value. We rarely consider the cumulative mental and emotional cost of maintaining them. Since simplifying, I make decisions differently. I'm less inclined to solve problems by buying more. I'm more creative, sleep better, and am more present with my children. I can pivot quickly when needed. And I enjoy the few things I own more deeply. Owning less sharpens appreciation for what remains. This journey also reshaped my view of time. Managing possessions consumes hours we often don't notice. Eliminating most of mine freed up time I hadn't realized I was losing. It made me wonder how many live in time poverty, not lacking hours, but filling them with maintaining things that don't truly matter. Interestingly, this choice enhanced my work. Some assumed selling my homes meant I was stepping back from my companies. The opposite is true. Simplifying my personal life created mental and emotional space for work that truly matters. I have more energy, clarity, and focus to tackle challenges that could impact humanity's future. For many, especially in demanding fields, simplicity isn't just lifestyle, it's a professional edge. Possessions demand attention, even subconsciously, fragmenting focus. Looking back, my attachment to multiple large homes and possessions was a form of unconscious compensation, perhaps for overwork, lack of family time, or insecurities about status. But possessions never solved those issues, they masked them. There's a clarity that comes from removing distractions. Ideas flow more freely. Priorities sharpen. Decisions become clearer. I'm not advocating extreme minimalism or moral superiority in owning less. I'm advocating thoughtful reduction, consciously choosing what deserves space rather than accumulating by default. This process revealed how many purchases were made unconsciously, driven by assumptions about what someone like me should have, not what truly enhanced my life. Art, for example. I owned many expensive pieces I thought I should appreciate, but few brought daily joy. Houses, too. I didn't need multiple large properties, nor was I using them in ways that justified their cost and mental overhead. This experience reshaped my understanding of wealth. Traditional views focus on accumulation, more money, more property, more stuff. But there's another kind of wealth, needing less, being unburdened, focusing resources on what truly matters. I now measure wealth not by what I can acquire, but by what I can live without. This mindset influences how I build companies and allocate resources. At Tesla and SpaceX, we ruthlessly eliminate unnecessary processes, question defaults, and focus intensely on what advances our core mission. This creates agility and focus that wouldn't exist if we tried to do everything. Many people intuitively understand this as they age. Downsizing isn't loss. It's liberation. They've learned what truly matters and are ready to let go of the rest. But we don't have to wait. We can ask ourselves now, what am I maintaining that doesn't enhance my life? What am I holding on to out of habit? What if I let it go? The answers might surprise you. I'm not saying everyone should sell their homes or give away belongings. That was right for me, given my values and circumstances. But everyone can benefit from asking, if I didn't already own this, would I buy it today? For the things that don't pass that test, consider letting them go, not to deprive yourself, but to free yourself. In a culture that constantly demands more space, more stuff, more options, choosing less can feel radical, but it might be the most liberating choice you ever make. Since sharing this perspective, many assume I'm advocating living with bare essentials like a monk. Not at all. I'm advocating consciousness and intentionality about what we allow into our lives. Some possessions, books, tools, art, genuinely enrich life. That's wonderful. The problem is accumulating without questioning, holding on out of habit or obligation rather than joy or utility. I still own things, clothes I enjoy, books I value, tools that help me work. But now, everything I own has earned its place through conscious choice, not default accumulation. Possessions often promise freedom, the freedom to enjoy luxury, options, status. But too often, they restrict freedom, limiting our ability to change, move, and focus on what truly matters. I sold almost everything because I valued freedom more than possessions. Freedom to pursue work that fascinates me. Freedom to be fully present with loved ones. Freedom to change course without the weight of accumulated things. That freedom is worth far more than anything I sold to gain it. I think often of my grandparents, who lived through scarcity. They kept what was useful, repaired what was broken, passed on what wasn't needed. They didn't accumulate for status or habit. Every item had purpose and story. Nothing was disposable or thoughtlessly acquired. There's wisdom in that approach, one largely lost in today's culture of abundance and easy acquisition. Our relationship with things shapes our experience, attention, and ultimately our lives. Looking back at the enormous homes filled with beautiful but burdensome things, I don't feel lost. I feel awakened from a trance that convinced me I needed all that to be happy or successful. The truth was the opposite. I needed to be unburdened. One memory stands out. Selling a house with a stunning view I once thought indispensable, I realized the joy came not from owning the view, but from experiencing it. I can enjoy beautiful views anywhere without owning a multi-million-dollar property. That realization, that experience and ownership are separate, has been liberating. I've learned to appreciate beautiful spaces and objects without needing to possess them. I can enjoy without acquiring. Simplicity brings clarity. What remains stands out. Priorities sharpen. Choices become intentional. That clarity is the greatest gift of this journey, greater than any possession I ever owned. If I could speak to my younger self, I'd say, true wealth isn't what you own, but what owns you. Freedom comes not from having everything, but from needing very little. The most valuable things, meaningful work, deep relationships, time to think and explore, are enhanced by simplicity and hindered by excess. No object, no matter how beautiful or expensive, is worth the mental freedom lost to unnecessary possessions. This journey has made me question other defaults I once accepted. If I was wrong about needing multiple homes and countless possessions, what else might I be wrong about? What unconscious assumptions limit my happiness or effectiveness? Questioning defaults leads to choices better aligned with true values, in time, relationships, projects. The philosopher Seneca said, "It is not that we have little, but that we want more." There's profound wisdom here. Much of what we think we need is manufactured desire, created by comparison, marketing, or unexamined beliefs about success. When we honestly assess what enhances our lives, what makes us healthier, more effective, more present, the list is often much shorter than we imagine. For me, that list includes meaningful work, time with my children, good health, mental clarity, close relationships, continuous learning, and freedom to pursue ideas that might help humanity. Almost everything else is optional. I'm still evolving. I haven't reached perfect minimalism, nor do I think that's the goal. The goal is alignment, surrounding yourself with what truly matters, not what others say should matter. Some days, I'm tempted by new things promising marginal improvement. Now, I recognize the pattern and ask, will this truly enhance what matters most, or just add to my mental load? The most surprising outcome has been increased happiness. I didn't sell possessions to be happier, but to gain freedom and focus. Happiness came as a side effect. Owning less brings lightness, needing less brings flexibility, being less tethered to things brings possibility. If this resonates, try a simple experiment. Pick one area, your closet, kitchen, digital files, schedule, and ask ruthlessly, if I didn't already have this, would I add it today? Then gradually let go of what doesn't pass the test. Thoughtfully observe how it affects your clarity, focus, and freedom. You might find, as I did, that many things you thought were assets are liabilities. What you thought served you actually demands service. This isn't deprivation, it's liberation. It's about consciously choosing what deserves space, not accepting defaults. For me, owning less has created space for what matters most: clear thinking, quick course changes, mental bandwidth for work that could help humanity's future. That's worth infinitely more than anything I sold to gain it. If you know someone weighed down by possessions, share this with them. Subscribe if you believe true freedom comes from needing less, not having more. What possession have you let go of that made you feel freer, not deprived? Your story might help others discover what's truly essential.